Good morning, everybody. Hope your evening went well. It's another cold one here in Wichita. The snow was beyond squeaky last night when you went out walking. If it's below 20 degrees outside, when you step on the snow, it squeaks. And it was crunchy because it had tried to melt a little bit yesterday. I think we actually made 29. Very cold this morning, but we're supposed to warm up and get back to normal temps. No moisture in the forecast for a bit, but the weather maps will all be screaming about records broken today, pretty much all over the United States. So real cold blast of air, a bit early I might say, but we did get some very, very needed moisture out of it, which will help the hard red winter wheat crop. And that's important because that's an important food staple, mostly outside of the United States. But if there's problems in the hard red winter wheat crop, then it can lead to food riots, especially in the Middle East and Africa. So here we sit. The market is up. Gold was just exploded to the upside last night. Crude was up. Gold was up off of Japanese Abe announced a new stimulus program, and of course the news algos picked it up. Now this stimulus is only 17 to 26 billion bucks, but because it's in yen, it reads pretty good. Reads pretty large, 70 to 80, I think trillion yen is the way that it, or whatever the number happens to be, but it's really only 17 to 26 billion, so it's not that big a deal. But Japan, I mean, it's just hard to see how anything but a crash happens with Japan. My feeling is for the rest of the world, we've all adopted Argentina's path, and that really means stagflation at best. So I think that because everybody's doing it, stagflation is what the rest of the world will face, and perhaps even Japan, but Japan is the tip of the spear for Keynesian economics, and it does not look good. Okay, I think the news overnight, the German and European ZEW, Economic Sentiment Indicator, both came in 11. They were much higher than forecast, so that supported equities in the EU and UK. The inflation figures in the UK were up a little bit as they were forecast to be, and that supposedly strengthened the pound. So back in the old days, that would have hurt the pound, but we live in a topsy-turvy world right now where the normal fundamental guidelines just really don't work. And a lot of this is based on high-frequency trading and then central bank policy. And the nice thing for us is that we can read it pretty well, and we join them. We don't fight the tape. Okay, we left last night. We had this 18 to 22 area right in here as resistance, and you can see that we've gotten into it. We've got a P overnight, but we definitely, if we put both of these together, we've got a B. So I think the critical thing is whether we can get through 22 this morning or not. The PPI news will be supportive as it comes in, minus a tenth for PPI. That is the precursor. It feeds into CPI. Core is called up a tenth. Obviously, none of these people shop in the supermarkets. I mean, everything has gone up, and they do it two ways. They cut the portions, they decrease the content, or they just outright raise the price. I'd be happy if they just raised the price, but they do both. So, and then we have NAHB. Actually, last month the NAHB housing index did bring in some activity. Because it was the only piece of news of merit that we had that day. So that could be the case today, too. The Fed still says the recovery of the real estate market is the second leg of their economic model. The news that comes in from the real estate market usually is not very good. So I guess the Fed remains eternally hopeful that their programs will bring back the real estate market someday. So we have a P overnight, and the issue is, can we get through resistance, which you can see is from 25 to 22. So the first sell, I mean, it's basically going to be failure to take out 20 to 24. That would be sell 1, and sell 2 will be 27 to 31. I don't see us getting to that second area unless the E-mini just totally falls out of bed today, and that doesn't look like it's going to happen. Okay, I think the trade today is to get short, failure to take out 20 to 24 to test this low here. So we got pretty good support, 12 to 13, 8 to 12, so we'll make our first buy 9 to 13, and then our second buy will be 1 to 5. Now, for those of you that are new to the room, that are just visiting us, what we try to do is we go back and we look at the structure of the F1 and the F2 screens, and we'll cover this several times today, and say higher or lower. And then we go in and we try to find a level that is advantageous to us, where we can be short above value and long beneath value. And that's our edge over time. We know where value is, and buying below it, most of the time we'll give you a trade at least back to value, and selling above it, most of the time we'll give you a trade at least back to value. So that's our edge. I mean, that's what drives the room. That's what drives our bottom line, and it works. We key on volume. We use the volatility and price to execute closer to where we perceive the market's edge to be. Oh, everything. I upgraded the software and everything has moved. It's even worse on the desktop. Okay, looking at yesterday's activity, just to bring it out structurally right here, this 24 area to 30 is pretty stout resistance, and we're pulled right to this volume. So this is a low volume number. The next high volume number in the market's memory pulls the market to it, and there's the attractor right there. So 20 to 24 is initial resistance, picking up this area, sell 1, and then picking up the high of this. That spill 27 to 31 will be sell 2, picking up this area right in here. Volume, that double print. So that's where resistance is, and that's what we've got a P. Will be supportive, so I think we might get a little higher. But the key today is going to be the direction of the E-mini, and if it rallies, we'll probably see selling in this contract. On the buy side, the overnight session low is 11, and we have the low from yesterday down at 5. So I'm going to, because of the extra volatility and the contraction in the knob spread, I'm going to put the first buy at 5 to 9. May have to pay up for it, and then 29 to 01. Okay, gold exploded off the Japanese news last night, and at some point the central banks will come in and whack gold. It just points the finger at them and all this printing of money that they did. So Abe announces directs his finance ministers to come up with some new stimulus for Japan's economy. To the tune only of 17 to 26 billion. And that took gold up and out. Okay, we got this low volume area here at 4 that held as resistance. We've got some volume here in the 99.50 to 1200. So selling 1200, 1202, pretty round number, makes sense. Then 5 to 7, let them go get stops above the overnight session high. London's low is 92. We're at 97. Last rotate down was 95. So we'll put this as buy 1. And then the breakout from 89. Midnight we were at 86. So 86, 89 will be buy 2. But I think gold should trade down off of this because, you know, the stimulus just wasn't that high. Now, you ask yourself how something can rally like that. The news algos trade headlines, and then they figure out what they've got. And it's just like the locals of old on the floor. They traded headlines, or they see the news headline, they get long or the short, they dump their positions. Then they figured out what the news actually meant. And that's the position that we have to adopt. Okay, gold, crude oil, and the euro were up overnight. The euro was up because of the weakness in the yen. That's fairly easy to see. And so again, major announcements by central banks or governments drive this market. So they managed to get stops just below yesterday's low and the close, and then you know, somebody always knows. Look how this market was trading up. A is when Asia opens up, and then obviously Abe picks up the mic in L period, and the market runs. But we had a P going into it, so somebody always knows. And when you see something moving in an unexpected direction, you gotta wonder, you know, what piece of news is going to come up or what's going to happen. And Abe's when he picked up the mic, took the euro up too and the yen down. So we didn't quite make it to 50. The last rotate up was 20, so we'll have a 20 to 30 sell, then a 45 to 55 sell. And again, it's a currency play. London's low was 85, then 90, so we'll make 80 to 90, buy 1. That's on the assumption we can get to 125. That's a fairly round number. And then our buy 2 will be down in the 60 to 70 area. Come in above yesterday's overnight high. Yes, Fitz. Shoot first, aim later. And the reason for that is that these guys have access to really, really fast news feeds, and they think there's liquidity there when they hit the buy or the sell buttons. And there is for those that are first there. So the news algos, the hookups to exchanges by high-frequency traders do have their impact in those markets too. The bank's out is that they don't have to trade size, and they can limit, and they can play all sorts of things, whereas in the full transparency of an exchange, the dome will be wiped out. All the liquidity will be taken from the dome, but at least you know who's done what to whom. Okay, crude oil, 4 Israelis were killed in a temple, and crude rallied off of that. Israel responds in kind. So all these people that were sending money to support the peace process, they want more money, they kill, they increase their attacks on Israel. It's a way to shake the money tree, and they're really good at doing that. The powers that be in the Gaza Strip and in the Palestinian settlements, they know how to shake that money tree. They know how to work it and just give us a little bit more money. You know, it's kind of like a government program. God dang, that thing didn't work, but we need some more money, and we'll make it work next time. So same deal, same logic. they're at the same trough that all government constituents are the treasury of those particular countries, in this case ours, and they work it. They're no fools. Okay, we got a lot of volume right here in crude in this 75 and a quarter area. So 75 and a quarter is buy one. And there's also the beheadings yesterday, or the day before, I guess, of 16 Syrian soldiers and 1 American soldier. That usually brings some form of retaliation, but we're not as aggressive nor as subtle as Israel in doing it. Well, let's make it 75, 76, sell one, and then 76 and a quarter, 76.50 for sell two. But the reason crude is up is because they unholstered their weapons yesterday and started shooting again in Israel. Okay, everybody's favorite market, the E-mini. It's a great market. This year it's got great volatility, but you know, the more trades up, no matter what happens, and doesn't trade down, if it doesn't give you a two-sided market, the volatility dries up. We've got great range and we've got great volatility now, but back over the summer and into the spring, I mean, we were lucky to get 7 or 8 points during the day. And for any trend following methodology, that's not enough. You're coming into the game usually 3 to 4 points off of the day session high or low, and you only have 3 or 4 points left, so it doesn't give you much of a move. So here we are. We've got resistance at 43.75. We are still, if we can't take out this high right here, you got to be short. The market is definitely a P if we combine yesterday's rally, starting an F period with the overnight session. You can see that we're dealing with a P. This market is higher off of, you know, little follow-through buying from yesterday. Europe's markets were up, China's markets go down, so it's kind of mixed. So again, this failure to take out, and we've rejected prices, so failure to take out 41, 44. I mean, that is just the easiest trade to see. I think if we get through that, we're headed to 50, so 49.51 will be S2. Not much in the way of news to drive today's trading, but everything is still pointed up. They make us pay up early, so 35.37 for the early in the session, right off the opening bell, is probably about as, if this market's going to trade higher, probably about as good as we can buy it. And then a better buy would be down in the 30-32 area. But we just don't have any luck getting long without buying at the market on the opening bell, just the way that it works. Then back in the, you know, after the first moves are over in the morning, then it usually goes back and retests our, where we see support, but not before a rally. Stock market here, supposedly the German and the EU ZEW sentiment indicators came in much, much higher than forecast. And that took Europe's markets up, and that could spill over into ours too. You said, what, one indicator can do that? One indicator can turn the markets around? Boy, in this market and today's environment, all it takes is a headline. So yes, it can. That's all I have for right now. It'll take about 20 minutes to get everything posted. I will be back with you as soon as I get everything up on the various spots and the websites, emails, etc.